Hi guys, how you doing? So welcome to week 6, and I hope that you guys have had a chance to see this. I posted this watch this video message last week and referred to it a couple of times throughout the week. Plus you guys should be getting emails when I post messages and announcements too. So this thing is awesome, and this little video here is it's at the actual design team for the Vancouver 2010 graphics and Olympic graphics, which I personally think was the most stunning of all Olympic graphics I've ever seen, and I've seen them all. So really, really, really good stuff here, and it's wonderful to get a first-hand perspective on from the horse's mouth, as it were. These are the actual folks who designed and developed these graphics, and the film was done right after the graphics were complete. So it's really cool. I think some of it was done actually even while they were working on the Olympic graphics. So it's a little older, it's 2010, but it's just a wonderful film. Please watch it. Then we have I left for this for your guys' convenience. I left the graphic program for the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, including the pictograms and the variations of the pictograms that are used on environmental graphics. And if you read through the program, you'll see what I'm specifically referring to there. Each one of these little pictograms has a fully developed illustration of the actual event, and those would be used for like the sides of buildings and stuff like that, while the pictograms themselves would be used for identifiers like maps and tickets and brochures and things like that, signage, etc. So wonderful, wonderful program there. And then I want to talk a little bit about where we're at, guys. And please, I'll make this quick, but I've got a couple of comments this past week about, hey, okay, so like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but you're commenting on my work like it could use improvement. And I want you guys all to understand this, okay? I've used this example for a few of you, but this is so important for the remainder of this class. It's really an important thing to keep at the back of your mind while, throughout the whole class. But this is a concept-driven class. What does that mean? That means that the final project is based on a concept, meaning that you are given a task and you are to develop your visual and conceptual system based on some very brief pieces of information and a lot of research. Okay, so that being said, every designer is going to have a couple of conceptual pieces in their portfolio. So the difference between a conceptual piece and a regular portfolio piece is that in a conceptual piece, it is going to give you a chance to really talk about your work, showing your ability to be able to talk about your methodology and your concept development in all the way from ideation to fruition. And that's a really important thing, and that's important for employers and most folks who are most hiring professionals or portfolio reviewers are going to look for an avenue in your portfolio somewhere where they can say, okay, this is the piece that I want you to talk about. Okay, so up till now we've been designing, and a lot of the projects we've done are such that you're given a problem, you develop a solution, and quite often those are visual solutions. You present the solution, and then you maybe place the solution on different collateral materials just to show its placement in a natural setting. And that's wonderful. Great. That's great. That's wonderful. A lot of people right now are trying to move to that, and that's because that's what we know right now. Okay. My point and my point and my comments right now are that everything, okay, I'm not going to use any names or examples, but there were a couple of submissions this week where the visual just went in a completely different direction than what we've been looking at in the research for said project. This is a problem in a conceptual piece in a portfolio because you're not following, in this particular scenario, you wouldn't be following your methodology. So to go from this heavy research to a purely visual solution doesn't make sense. And the portfolio reviewers and the hiring professionals, they know that. So therefore, when somebody asks you in your Olympic piece, why did you use this typeface right here, and what does it have to do with your original concept development? Well, and that is a question that is quite likely. Questions like that come up in interviews, guys, and those of you who have already interviewed know exactly what I'm talking about. I do a lot of interviewing, not only for my studio, well, not so much for my studio, but if I'm going to sub out work, I'll interview the designer before I give them the contract. And I also interview a lot of people for, a lot of potential candidates for design studios and advertising agencies as kind of like an outsourcing human resources type thing to get an expert opinion on the actual portfolio, okay? And these are the things that I would ask in that type of setting, in this type of project. I would ask questions like, okay, how did you get from here to here? And explain the visual and methodological progression, okay? And if you don't have an answer, that gets a really big, huge check mark in the left-hand column. And if you have an answer, it gets an even bigger check mark in the right-hand column. So my point is that, if you're receiving comments like, reconsider this visual approach, it's because it's not closely enough associated with your research and your methodology thus far in the project. Okay, I hope that makes sense, folks. I'm going to cut it there. And we've got, just regular stuff, status quo this week, guys. Same thing we've been doing. So really, let's get some development on these phase 3. And let's get those to the point. I left everybody comments in the critique board, so your videos are in there, so you can take those moving forward. And again, if anybody has any questions about any of the comments or critiques or suggestions in your video, please get with me. Okay, we're getting close to the end here, folks. So you guys are doing awesome. I love you guys. This is a great class. I love it. Really super engaged. And that's awesome. So, okay, and I'm here. So if you have any questions, comments, or otherwise, please get with me. Okay, thanks, everyone.